What's up, my Anomalous crew? It is Girl with the Curls if you didn't know, and now you know. So today we're going to be, as you can see, the title is doing our brows. I know I have a 5-minute I know I have a 5-minute tutorial already out that was done in Arizona, but I just want to give you a better quality video than I did in that one. So I'm doing a tutorial today on really how to get these brows. But I'm going to show you how to get two different brows. This is going to be the troubled brow because I do have stitches and I have patches in this brow. So I'm going to show you how to fix your troubled brow on this side. And on this side, I'm just going to show you how to fleek your brow without doing a lot of plucking and all of that jazz. And I'm going to show you how to make them identical. So before we get started, I do want to show you some techniques that I use my angle brush, so you will not have any questions about the kind of stroking that I'm doing or any of that. This is a small angle brush by Elf. And as you can see, there's a long part right here, and then there's a short part right there. You always want to lead with the short part, which means going this way, the short part will be in front and the long will be in the back. And then you will simply turn it so that the short is in the front and then the long is in the back. So your short will always lead you no matter what you're doing. And we're going to get started. Okay, so as you can see, I have just washed my face because the key to fleeky eyebrows is to always have a fresh canvas. And you also want a fresh canvas because eyebrows should be the first thing that you're going to do before you put on makeup, because if you bring that concealer down, it could be a good eyeshadow primer, as you will see. So we're going to get started on our easy eyebrow first. I'm not going to be saying these products because you can easily go to the description box and figure out what I'm using. Some of you may already know from my old channel, but for those of you who don't know, description box is key. So I love for my brushes to be damp, so you can go in with a setting spray, but I just easily take water. And we're going to dab into our brush to get both sides of the brush with light product on it. So the first step you want to do is, oh crap, okay, before you do any of that, you want to go in with your setting gel and flick all those hairs up so that you can have a good eyebrow line to sketch out. So you just want to do all those up, and then mine's do better when they're going like diagonal, so then I easily just switch them diagonal, and then I slide these tail hairs down. Now that we have that little bit of product on our brush, we're going to go in on our lower arch and just trace. You want to bring it out a little bit just so you can have a nice bit of space for a nice gradient effect and maybe a little bit of strokes to make those front brows come to life. So we're just going to easily sketch just light right under your brow arch. If there's not enough product on to sketch out a good line, go back in and get more. So I'm just going back, sketching out a skinny line under my brow all the way to the tail. Don't worry about how it looks, just focus on getting a precise line so that you can have a vision of how your desired brow is going to look. So now what you want to do is make that brow line darker. So we're going to go in and get a good amount of product for a dark under arch. And this time we want to go heavy. So we're just going to go back in. You don't want to go all the way to the front now, but you want to start about right here and just start going in real heavy with that under arch. And then you can start to just bring it out a little bit more, because I feel like I should have brought it out more. So I'm going to bring it out to about right there. You can bring it out to where your contour of the nose starts for a good gradient effect. So now that that part is done, we can get to the fun part, which is now going up and making our build up, or as people call it, an arch. We're going to just do short strokes starting wherever you want your arch to go, but I mean your arch should be starting about where the iris of your eye hits. I don't follow that rule just because I know where I want my arch to be. So we're just going to keep going with our short strokes right where we want that arch. So I'm going to go up. You should start to see where your arch is already, because you should have a couple hairs that are higher than the rest. And you're like, oh, this is a good spot. And you just want to go there. Remember, we want the short to lead us. So we're just going to go up into that arch. It's going to look weird at first, but trust me, those brows are going to be looking amazing. So as you see, we have a little peak going on right now. Wet your brush now enough to get that powder like clayish so that we can really define our arch. But you want to get a good build up in that brush so that we can define this arch. I get so focused on my brows. Okay, so now we're just going to do short strokes because the product is heavier now. And you just want to do little motions to make your arch. So you just want to up and kind of bring it around to connect to your tail. You know what looks right and you know what you want. So, and as you can see, it's looking better already, but it's not done. So I want to take my arch up. So we're just going to keep building upon that arch as you like. And when you have the good arch that you want, you can start to finish it off by bringing that front brow line on top up to connect evenly with that arch. So otherwise, you would just start sketching your top brow line. Short strokes is key because the more detailed you get, the better the brow. So now we're just evening everything out. And you have a sharp brow that's really dark. Now I'm just going to make it custom to like how I like my brows to look. Which in your case, it would just be going back in and keep doing short strokes till you love your eyebrow and just like never want to take it off. You can go in and get more product if needed. And boom. So we're focusing on our top arch more than our bottom arch, just because to have your eyebrow looking more natural, you do not want to conceal your top and bottom brow, at least in my case. I just conceal my bottom brow. So now we're going to go over here to this trouble eyebrow and we're going to get that started. We're going to come back to this brow and we're going to conceal both together so that we can get the final look, the identical look. As you can see, look at the difference. Oh my gosh. So we're going to do the same, and I'm just going to speed through this part because it is the same directions until we get to the fill-in part. We're sketching, and since I have that big bald patch right there, we're going to oversketch that. Oversketching as meaning just keep on drawing that line like it's here there. So we're going to come down, as you can see. Now I have a weird little mark that's going to be a brow later. If you ever want your brow to look darker, just go in with some water and it should do the job. So we're going to go back in. Remember, don't start all the way out there, but just about right there and darken that line. Now this brow is going to look a little different in the beginning just because we kind of have to overdo the brow to make up for that patch. It doesn't look right now just like a hairy caterpillar eyebrow, but you will see how it turns out and how helpful it is to just go on ahead and fill the whole patch in when we get done. Alright, so now we have a good base for the patch. As you can see, it is not perfect, does not have to be perfect because we're going to conceal that bottom line. And this is what's going to make our brows very identical, is because the fact that I overfilled it in, and I'm going to go back in with the concealer to match it with this under arch. So now that we have that, we're going to do the same thing and make our arch. So this brow is also a little bit flatter. I mean, like, man, why can't brows just be the same? But since they're not, I have to kind of make this arch depending off of the arch that's already made. So I'm just going to get a little estimate and look. That looks about right. I'm going to wet this brush again. I don't know, I work better with wet brushes. This is probably why I just need a pomade instead. But for now, and for beginners, you should get a powder because it's way easier to just wipe off. So I'm going in, and I'm just going to keep on building on that arch. Short strokes, and bring those strokes around to get that arch. So this arch is a little bit too centered, so I'm just going to wipe it. And you can see it's way too easy to wipe away. I don't know why my eyes are watering. I'm staring too hard. Okay, so if we're going to bring that arch over a little bit. And that looks about right. So we're going to just get that good line on top going. And customize it basing on what you like. We're going to get a little better arch in here. Just because we want some nice dramatic brows. Well, at least I do. If you don't, you can stop here and wait. So now we're just making sure those brows are the same sides. This one is a little thicker. It's going to come off thicker because we did fill all of that in. But you still want to make sure the height are the same. Going back in with a little bit more. We're going to remember to leave that short part. And just darken up the space we have to make for our arch. Because it's so flat, we have to go up some. And we're just going real slow, short strokes, to get that awesome brow. And then we're just going to go back in on our other side to make the brows identical. We're just going to even them up. And create our tails. Going under just a small line because we're going to conceal. This one already has a small line. And that looks good. Maybe not on camera. So now that we're done with the arch part, we're going to go to conceal, which means I'm just going to clean off my brush with a little bit of water and an old towel, just in case that stain does not come out. I don't want nobody yelling at me. So we got most of that out. We clean our brushes off because we do not want a dark concealer. We want that concealer to stay light. So we're going to go in, ouch, this looks familiar, LA Girl Pro in the color Fawn, just in case I forget to put the color in the description box. I found this actually at the dollar store. This is not where I got this one from, but I saw LA Girl Pro at the dollar store, and I'm like, okay, stepping your game up, Bruno. So if you can find, tell me where you can find LA Girl Pro at. Leave it in the comment box below. Because I don't know if it's just me or they on like a cheap come up or something. So, and also tell me if it's the same quality. So we're going to go in our under arch, and we're just going to start sketching. We're going to go all the way out to where we put our black line. And we're going to short stroke like we've been doing and sketch that under arch. Now that you have a sketch, you can go in and carve out that nice arch. Be very careful. I'm starting to like this angle brush for concealing just because it lets me get closer up all in that arch. Alright, now we're just bringing it down. And this is where the priming can come in, because you can always bring it down more or you can blend it down. So we're just going to take it about here because I'm not putting on eyeshadow. And just get real close up on that brow to make sure your concealer is where you want it. Make sure that tail has a nice line under it. And we can just leave that there and go on to this brow so that we can make sure we have the same under arch on both sides. We're going in with a little bit more concealer. I made a mistake and squeezed this really hard and a lot came out. Alright, so we're going in. And we're just going under that brow. All the way out to where we put that dark under arch line. Uh-oh, I went too far in. We're going to fix that. So now, because this is a treble eyebrow, we want to start further away with concealer, not so far up in the arch. So we're going to start where that dark mark starts. So where I started feeling that darkness for my patch, I'm going to start right under that. And then work my way in, depending on this arch. So I can see both arches in my mirror. And I'm just going to take it up. And then come in so I can see what I'm doing. Oh, you can see. So I can see what I'm doing. That's a good line. Alright, so now that we have those perfect under arches, we're going to go in, boom, right where the creases of our nose are. So right there and right there. And we're just going to create two little lines for the stop of our brow. So the hard part is over with, and we get to do something fun. We get to blend. Okay, so we're just going to blend under eyes first. And that one was really easy because it is for the most part dry, and you have a good sketch in there with that concealer. So we're just going to blend. You don't have to blend your life away unless you're not going to do the technique that I'm going to show you in a minute. We're going to go up. And then we're simply going to go up and take that concealer upward. If you are doing makeup, this is a good highlight area that you can go ahead and do. And you can even do your nose if you wanted to with our brow powder. And we're just going to clean everything up because our tails are looking a hot mess. So we're going to take that tail. Oh, this is the magnifying side. Okay. So we're going to take that tail. We're going to start longer first just because we're able to wipe. And then we're going to take this arch side too. And what else we're going to do is we're just going to go back under where we mistakenly put concealer too far up. So these tails, we're going to take our concealer brush and we're just going to go back in and thin it out because it's so easy to wipe off. It should start thinning right away. Okay, and this tail is pretty good. So we're just going to fill in that little patch that I'm seeing and I'm not liking at all. But you just want to start patting if you're seeing where the patch is not blending well. Just start patting and it should blend out. So what you can do now is take your gel again to finish off your brows. Take it up. And as I said, I like mine diagonal. And take it up and diagonal. So our technique is coming up. And this is where it gets fun and easy. So you can easily go in with any bronzer in a color that is very close to you, not really bronzy. Check your eyebrows just to make sure you like them because this is the finishing touch. This can be your set if you want it to be a set for makeup and you're going to do makeup, but this is just going to make it look like we didn't even conceal these bad boys, okay? So we're going to tap that out because this is a loose powder bronzer, and we're going to go in with that bronzer and blend it out. Take it up in that arch a little bit. This way you have a line, a light line, but it's not that light. So it does not look like you just, piled on some concealer under your brow, which most people do. Also, if you wanted to do this, but you do not have bronzer, you can easily take a foundation or even a darker foundation or any powder or anything that's close to your skin tone and just swipe it over the area that you desire to have back to its original pigment. So as you can see the difference, this one looks way more natural than this one just because we have now bronzed it. But that's the technique. You can bronze out your eye, or if you want to keep like this, if you're going to do makeup and you just put foundation all over your face, you can just foundation this. But I like the bronzer idea way better. One day I just got desperate and I was like, look, bronzer come through, and it actually works. So we're just going to bronze up that other eyebrow because I'm going to wear these the rest of the day probably. And we're just going to go even on the other side of that tail. And we're just swiping all over where you need it to be. And there, you have two fleeky eyebrows finally. I know that's probably what you're saying, but this will never fail as a talk-through tutorial for my beginners or my intermediates. It took me forever to learn how to perfect my eyebrows. Oh, I forgot. And if you want an even more ombre effect, you can go in and take that line out. So you just want to go hard under and flick up just to take that line out in the front. I like my hair sparsed out just to still give it that bushiness. Enjoyed. You already know you have to stay anomalous. My double chin has been talking all day, so do not even worry about it. Until next time, enjoy!